Men and women are different. These are some of the things men like: coding and action movies. Here are some of the things women don't like: coding and action movies. Part of the extreme leftist moronic takeover of Hollywood is the narrative that men and women are the same. They're not. Men have penises, women have vaginas. Maybe you missed that day at school. And the problem is, once you imbibe this clearly wrong ideology, you actually start making decisions based on it. So you will make action films featuring solely women, or almost solely women, aimed at women. The problem with that is, firstly, women aren't fighters, they're not warriors. Women aren't interested in those things by and large. There are exceptions, of course, and they're not good at those things by and large. There are exceptions to that, but almost every woman is weaker than almost every man. Even women that are interested in fighting are likely to be far less good at it than men. This is why MMA and boxing, etc., has a gender split, because men will destroy women, because men are much stronger than women. So that's one side of it. You have in the Charlie's Angels reboot, a complete failure at the box office. You have stick-thin women in pantsuits and makeup, leopard print pantsuits and makeup, beating up 300-pound gorilla boxing-looking guys with a curtain or something. This is laughably ridiculous. This is laughably unrealistic. Just a light tap from one of these men would destroy the face of the woman and knock them out. I'm not saying this to boast. This is just reality. It's ridiculously unrealistic. Now, you could say James Bond's ridiculously unrealistic, but James Bond as a character can one-on-one beat up pretty much any man in existence. These Charlie's Angels stick-thin, 120-pound fashion models, they could beat up almost no men in existence. Just take a random man and ask them to be okay. If they were highly, highly trained in mixed martial arts or something, maybe they could beat up more than 50% of men, but they wouldn't look like that. And again, if most men got a punch off that hit them in the face, again, they'd be fucked. And elite men, like the bodyguards they're beating up in this film, again, no female MMA fighter is going to beat up a 300 or 400 pound muscle bound bodyguard, because all he needs to do is get a punch off to her face. She's done. She can't take the punishment. That punch is going to literally be 10 to 20 times harder than hers. And this is an elite woman who looks like Ronda Rousey or some kind of fighter, not someone in makeup and heels. These are dolly birds. They're chicks who go on Tinder and Snapchat and Instagram. They're not fighters. They don't remotely look like. You don't just take. This is the problem with gender swapping. You don't just take a leading lady in Hollywood, some hot chick, and make her James Bond, because she isn't James Bond. She isn't she isn't tough. She doesn't know how to fight. She doesn't know shit. It's not believable. Even if you made her believable, she's still not going to be able to do very well as a fighter. A man will be orders of magnitude more effective and stronger and better, because men have denser bones, have much bigger muscles, have testosterone, have more aggression, and they're more interested in this stuff. They're built for combat in ways that women aren't and never will be, unless you're talking about people that are born with a penis, who split the penis, fold it inside the body, keep the beard and put on a dress. That's your definition of a woman. Then maybe there's a chance here. But women in Charlie's Angels, no, this is ridiculous. This is just a vehicle for doing two things at the same time: shitting on men, saying how stupid men are, and then going and beating up men. This is laughably unrealistic. And then, of course, they said, before the movie came out, this movie is not for men, this movie's for women. Men don't go and see it, and then they blame toxic masculinity for men not watching the film. Make up your fucking mind, love. The reason men don't want to see this film is because they don't want to see a load of skinny chicks pretending to be tough. Skinny chicks aren't tough. Almost no women are tough, and ever under any circumstances. Not physically, not in the action movie way. The women in Charlie's Angels and other such films are supposed to be tough. Atomic Blonde, another ridiculous film where a stick-thin chick beats up men 10 times the strength. So you can't say, this film isn't for men, and then men don't watch it. Oh, it failed because of toxic men. No, it's a shit film because it's unrealistic, because women aren't tough. It'd be like having a load of children going and beating up men. That's also ridiculous. But the other problem is, it's action movies appeal to men. Women aren't really that into action movies. Women would rather go and see 50 Shades of Grey or a rom-com, something feminine. Women prefer feminine movies. Men prefer masculine movies. Star Wars isn't a feminine movie. This is why Star Wars is turning into a dumpster fire, despite having such a strong brand. It's not for girls. The Force isn't female. The Force is male. Action movies are for men, primarily. Some women might be into them, most aren't. So what you see is when you try and make an action movie that's unrealistic and ridiculous with women in, doing girly stuff, but somehow still beating up men, men aren't going to watch it. The problem with that, and women aren't going to watch it because they're not interested in action movies. The problem with that is there's no audience then, is there? It's just like the very small number of women who are going to lap up this bullshit. Like, some women will see this for the bullshit it is. Women are not tough. Women are weak. Most women will know that's bullshit. Most women are not interested in action movies. Action movies are for men primarily. So when you've alienated your audience and you made an unrealistically shit film and you've told them it's not for them, the audience for action movies is men almost entirely, then the film isn't for anyone. It's like Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a film primarily for men. Originally, it's a buddy story about men building a business and fighting ghosts. That's primarily for men. If you gender swap the characters, it doesn't make sense anymore. It's almost entirely men who are inventors, who are in their basement inventing things, because men have biological differences to women. Men are more interested in things, women are more interested in people. This is science. This is proven science. This is uncontroversial science. So the inventor in the basement trope, that's a man, almost always. Well, Charlie's Angels, there's a lead programmer, whatever fuck a lead programmer is. A lead programmer. We call ourselves developers now, but whatever. A lead programmer in an energy technology that could revolutionize the world. That's not how that fucking shit works, dear. You just show you don't know anything about coding, but you're trying to make this hot chick look like an elite coder, whatever the fuck that is. Elite coders aren't attractive people generally, and they're almost never women. And when they are women, they're weirdly often trans women. I don't know why that is. But no, this just isn't reality. You're not going to get a high-end coder who's a hot chick. It's so unlikely. And what this film's trying to say is, any hot chicks can be coders. No. Again, brain differences, hormonal differences. Women aren't interested in stuff like coding. It's very unusual. Of course, there's some exceptions. It's very unusual. So why do you have this stupid character in this film? You're pushing an agenda, but it's not realistic. And the box office is proving this. Women don't want to see action movies. And a lot of women have a bullshit detector. Women really don't want to see action movies, of unrealistic action movies with women in. It's just ridiculous. And Charlie's Angels is more proof of this. And so is Ghostbusters. And this is why Ghostbusters flopped. It was the same two problems. This isn't a story about 4 women. 4 girls don't get together and do this kind of thing. If there was such a thing as ghosts, you wouldn't get 4 women coming together, working in their basement for years on special technology, and then going out, setting up a business and fighting ghosts. And of course, in reality, ghosts don't exist, but this is the kind of story you get with men all the time, but they're inventing some other technology. This is a male story. Now, have 4 women set up businesses? Yeah, but it's not going to be in ghost hunting. It's not going to be in high-tech stuff. That's very unusual. It would be in things women are more interested in, generally, obviously. But again, this is why Ghostbusters failed. It's a story that should be about men. They gender swapped. It doesn't make sense as a story about women. And then who's the audience? Well, the audience for that kind of story of toil and building up a business and battling against authority, etc. That's a man's story. It's not a women's story. It's a man's story. But you've fucked off men because you've gender swapped and you've made it unrealistic. And you fucked off women who have a bullshit detector. And it was a shit film. But because the film's both unrealistic, that's pissing off a lot of women. And because it's an action film that should appeal to men, but then you've gender swapped in a very cat-candid way, that's pissed off men. Who's the audience? Who is the audience? The audience is feminists who like action movies. That's a very small fucking audience. And so you've destroyed the audience for action movies, men. You've destroyed most of the female audience who have a bullshit detector. So you're making films you're making terrible, unrealistic films for nobody. And unrealistic within the universe. I mean, Ghostbusters was unrealistic to begin with. Not within its universe. Story needs to be plausible within its universe. A stick-thin woman beating the shit out of a man who has 20 times her strength, that's not plausible. Doesn't work. James Bond beating up a strong man, that's plausible. Okay, it has to be plausible within its universe. So you're just making films, you're making shit, sexist, ridiculous, unrealistic films for nobody, Hollywood. Next time you think of making a film like this, just give me a ring. Give me a ring. Just phone me and should you make this film? No. Put men in the characters instead. I mean, not for Charlie's Angels, obviously. But if you want to do Charlie's Angels, do it in a realistic way. Make it somehow realistic and stop shitting on men. There's one thing Hollywood needs to do. Stop shitting. You don't, to make a diverse film, you can do it. Look at The Expanse. Look at The Orville. Do it. Just stop shitting on white men. That's the only rule. If you follow the rule, follow your own fucking rhetoric. Be inclusive. Inclusion doesn't mean excluding white men. Inclusion means including white men. It means including everyone on the joke. It's the one thing Hollywood should do. When next time you want to make a quote-unquote feminist film like this, just include white men. Include men in it. They even made fucking Bosworth a fucking chick. You've just gone way too fucking far. Learn the lesson.
This was the Deviant Developer Podcast. Tap subscribe in any podcast app to never miss an episode. To contact me or make a welcome donation, go to thedeviantdeveloper.com.